If you enjoy this content, please take a moment to rate and review it. Your feedback will greatly impact our ability to reach more people. Thank you. All right, Vic, how's it going?
It's going well. I don't know. I feel like we're through the election. We're seeing all the aftermath now, but I don't know. I feel pretty good about things.
Yeah, definitely have that back half of Q4 feeling starting to settle in, you know?
Yeah, I'm trying to push through and get some stuff done before December really makes it hard. But yeah, it's starting to get into holiday season almost.
Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty much just starting to prepare for January at this point. Yeah, like I mean, I'm getting things done, and we're gonna kick some things off. You know, we're talking about getting our newsletter off the ground in December and some little things like that. But for the most part, like
I'm trying to get 2 deals done before then. But I already know what they are and have the terms, and I just got to get it across the finish line. So hopefully,
good luck with that. We have a lot to talk about. Oh, maybe before we start, did you enjoy the GNVCA panel?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I think it's good for Nashville that we're convening all the venture capitalists or the venture capital community and sharing policy things. It was well done.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's good. It feels like a sign of maturity that our venture capital community is now not just, you know, meeting at the Bellmead Country Club, no offense, but like, you know, it's kind of out in the open and it's diverse and it's multiple industries and it's people new to town and, you know, saw Chris from Edison Partners there and, you know, it's just kind of like
not
a real thing.
And I didn't know everyone there, which is healthy.
Yeah.
I met some new people, which is gret.
Yeah, exactly. So it's nice to see the development of everything. But yes, we are in week 2 post-Trump victory and the appointments are coming in fast and furious and all sorts of things are moving around. So let's go ahead and start the process. Let's dig in. All right. Inflation came in at 2.6%. Not really that surprising in terms of a slight bump, and also not likely to derail the plans for another cut in December. Small cut.
Yeah, I think that's right. This was pretty widely expected. It's a slight uptick, maybe 30, 40 basis points from last month. But I think everyone was expecting something similar. The real question is it going to keep going up? I mean, there's a pretty decent turn up, which is not a big deal at 2.6. But if it keeps going to 2.8 or 3, I don't know if the 5 cuts that are predicted for next year are still on the table or not. The next one in December seems like everyone's saying is still in place. But there's some point when inflation ticks up too high that the Fed will want to stop cutting.
Yeah. And kind of the sideshow here, I mean, there's so much stuff flying around that we'll see whether or not there's enough focus on, to change anything. But there has been a storyline around Powell being asked in a public interview that if Trump asked him to step down, would he step down? And he very quickly responded no.
Yeah.
And then he also said not permitted by law. Like he was very clear. Yeah. Not permitted by law.
I agree with that. I'm not a big Powell fan. I think he's been okay, but I'm a big fan of the Fed chair should not be subject to any president's being, you know, whim of deciding to replace him. I think that's just not healthy in general. So I'd like to see him hold that line. And then in 2 years, his term will be up. And that's the point that Trump could do whatever.
Just a quick question. I don't want to sit on this too long, but you said you're not a big Powell fan and you think he's been okay. How would you rate his handling of the post-pandemic, you know, run-up of inflation? I mean, it seems to me everyone was saying we were going to get into a recession. We haven't. Everyone kept calling, we're in one, but we never actually got to a full-blown recession.
Yeah.
Seems like we're about to be risk on here, you know, under the change of administration. Interest rates are coming down. We suffered for, 2 years.
I agree.
Seems like it's about to turn around to risk on. So, I mean, I guess I'm just wondering what could he have done better? Because I think a lot of people would look at this and say probably one of the best runs in a very, very difficult period of any Fed chair in modern history. Some would probably argue that. So I'm just interested in.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said, except that interest rates are coming down. I don't think. I mean, he has brought the short-term rates down that he controls, but the longer-term rates have not come down.
Yeah.
And I think that's because he is not fully transparent and is not really data-driven, even though he says he's data-driven. So that's where I have, I mean, I don't know that I'm qualified to critique his skills, but that's where it is difficult for me that he's proclaiming to be data-driven and have a 2% inflation target.
Yep.
And where we haven't been below 2% in a long time, and yet he's easing. And so I don't know. I just think it's he has a hard job. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult thing. He has navigated a pretty good soft landing, and I think that it is concerning that 10-year rates are up.
Right.
And so that's making it harder to buy a house, buy a car, finance your business.
Yeah.
And that's really his trust or his view, the market's view of his performance. But I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm being overly harsh.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not. What I should say was more explicit is I think it's fine for the president to critique the Fed, or for me to critique the Fed, or anyone who's. But I think it is valuable for our country to have the Fed in I think it's a 12-year appointment or a 10-year appointment, and no matter what he does, even if he frustrates you or she frustrates you, you can't just pull them out of it. I think that's healthy.
Yeah, he's got 2 more years, and I like the idea that he will be seeing out. I mean, he's seen us through this much of it. I would prefer he finish the term. You know, I would prefer.
It's just a really bad precedent that at any point, any president in the future can just fire the Fed leader and put someone else in. That's not healthy.
Totally agree. All right. That was our only economy story. We're switching right into VC land and starting with a deal in the VC space, but not a traditional deal at all. This is General Catalyst has been working for a while now through their Health Assurance Transformation LLC, HATCo, on the acquisition of Summa Health, which is small to mid-size health system in Ohio. And there were questions around whether or not it was going to happen. There was scrutiny from the AG, but they've signed the definitive agreement.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's great to see it progressing forward. Hopefully it'll get closed. I think we've covered this before. The reason General Catalyst wanted to do this is to have enough control to be able to try out all the things that they think could make a payvider health system with the health system and the insurance side much more effective, efficient, deliver better care at lower cost. And so I think it's great to see what they can do. Whether they are really successful or run into hurdles, it doesn't really matter. I think we'll all learn from watching it.
I mean, they have a multi-billion-dollar health system. They've got a very successful, experienced health system CEO.
Right.
And they've got a boatload of technology that they've been investing in.
Yeah.
So this is a sort of a net new experiment. We've never seen those 3 things combined to see what happens when you've got all of those things together. So it's going to be pretty interesting.
I can't think of her name, but I heard at the Aspen Health Leaders thing, the General Catalyst woman spoke, and she was saying it really was the pace of bringing new innovations, bringing change to market that they wanted to accelerate, which I'm totally in favor of. That'd be great. Yeah.
Totally agree with that. And here's what will be really interesting. With that pace, are they thinking that General Catalyst is the sole provider of those innovations, or that they create an innovation layer that the whole organization can run on, but that things can plug into very quickly? Because I think one of the big problems today is the core platforms do not absorb innovation intentionally. It's philosophically against what they are trying to do. So obviously, General Catalyst has a full suite of very integrated platforms, but there's going to be a constant need for more and more innovation over time, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not they want to funnel that all through themselves, or if they're going to actually allow this platform that they're building to be something that can absorb third-party innovation.
Yeah, I don't know if we know that, but either way, I think we'll learn a lot. Even if they keep it only General Catalyst tools, which hopefully they won't, I think we'll still learn what works and what doesn't work, even if there might be multiple tools that could do that function. You're right. I think health systems are not designed for significant and fast, like iterative innovation, trying things. And I think General Catalyst is going to change that.
Yep. All right. Fort Health secures $5.5 million to expand access to integrated pediatric mental health care.
Yeah, so this is an investment. The company's in New York, and I think it's sort of another in the same vein of sort of integrating holistic care for patients. I mean, mental health is comorbid with many, many other diseases, and so integrating it into the pediatric clinic, I think is really valuable. So we're not involved in this deal, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah, so integrated behavioral health. They were founded in partnership with Child Mind Institute, a nonprofit in children's mental health, based in New York City. And I'm sure they're going to work with a very, very small population at first. 5.5 million is not a lot when you're actually delivering services. But it'll be interesting to see how they're going to differentiate. They've got a good group of LPs around the table. Redesign Health, Blue Venture Fund, and True Wealth Ventures. I think Blue Venture Fund kind of stands out to me there because if you're in the New York market and you've got Blue Ventures on your side, that's going to be positive for sure.
Yeah.
Stepful raises $31.5 million to address healthcare staffing shortage with AI-powered training. This one seems like I get why they were able to attract a $31 million check. The intersection of workforce development and AI seems like a winning pitch, at least. The delivery is a completely different matter, but doesn't surprise me with that pitch. They were able to get some big dollars in the door.
Yeah, and they're really addressing the supply of workers, and the problem that they're trying to fix is a huge problem. It takes way too long, and it's too expensive, multiple years. They're claiming $20,000 for an individual to get trained to be a medical assistant or a pharmacy tech, or all the healthcare workers that are not a physician but are critical in the delivery of care. We need maybe more of those.
Yeah.
And there just aren't enough. And so being able to make them for something like 1/10 of that time and cost, and we have people that need jobs today. And with AI coming, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are looking to change jobs. We've talked about it previously. We're going to need people in healthcare for a long time. Maybe fewer over the next 10 years, but still we need a lot of people. So yeah, I think this is a great deal.
Yeah, I mean, workforce development for health systems in particular it's one of the few industries where we've seen over the last 10 years, large health systems have gotten in the education business, full on buying or building nursing schools, going into partnerships to set up new med schools specifically so they can have their own dedicated pipeline that learns things their way. And they can have their rotation sort of, set up ready to go. So yeah, I mean, anything you can do around workforce development, growing that inflow of staffing is, I think, going to find a big audience.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Probably the biggest story of the week as it pertains to VC is Forward Health. This was a big money raiser. They brought in $400 million with their concept of CarePods, which were autonomous doctor's offices, sort of standalone, where you walk in and it's you and a bunch of telehealth and a bunch of mechanics going on inside of that pod. They have shut down, abruptly shut down, actually. And, it's obviously high profile because the design was sleek. It feels like one of those hey, we're going to bring healthcare into the future plays. Quite frankly, I'm actually surprised they were only able to get to $400 million, considering some of the deals that raised billions over the last 5 years. But $400 million is where they stop.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't work. It didn't work. So I think the problem is that I'd love to use
Theranos didn't work. How much did they raise? I'm just saying.
Nothing to do with how much they raised.
Yeah.
But I think it was a great vision. It is a great vision to be able to put in the lobby of our building or anywhere, put this pod, which is much more convenient to do. And then through telemedicine, you have a doctor or another specialist that you can interact with. Where it, I think, struggled is sort of just how all the robotics and everything in the pod, it's a lot to get to work properly.
Mm-hmm.
And the human body, well, it is quite similar. I mean, my body is different than yours. If you're elderly or you're a pediatric patient, I mean, there's just lots of different type people. And so I think it was maybe ahead of its time. I know some of the angel investors that are in this, and I mean, as recent as like a month ago, they were super excited about the growth. I mean, they raised $100 million less than a year ago.
Yeah.
But they shut down in the last 48 hours.
The founder used to be the CEO for he headed up special projects for the CEO of Google Alphabet.
Yeah.
Founded Sidewalk Labs. So, I think had an incredible name, an incredible network, raised money in the Series D from Founders Fund, Coastal Ventures, SoftBank, Mark Benioff, The Weeknd. I mean, so clearly kind of a A-list kind of person who was able to get access to those kind of investors. But yeah, look, healthcare's hard.
And I mean, I would love to be able to go into a pod and have it work, but if you can't reliably draw blood and do the lab work, then you have to go to another place and get the blood drawn. So yes, healthcare's hard.
Healthcare's hard. Yeah, and one of the things I guess was in the Business Insider article, they were talking about how I guess the blood test didn't work and maybe someone got stuck in the pod a couple times or something.
Yeah, I mean, the information interviewed, I think it was like 20. We'll link to the several former employees they found, and it was anonymous. I mean, they didn't disclose who, so they would share. But yeah, it says patients kept getting trapped in the pods, which implies maybe more than once. But even one time, if you can't get out of the pod, that's not going to be good on social media posts.
Yeah, so. That's right. All right, private equity gears up for deals to take off. I forwarded you this morning a report from Bank of America, their securities department, talking about how they view the landscape being very favorable for M&A deals. Mm-hmm. This is Wall Street Journal Pro Private Equity posting basically the same thing. Everyone seems to anticipate under a Trump administration lowered regulatory burden and pressure on M&A, and so everyone's getting excited for deal time again.
Yeah, I mean, Trump is a deal guy.
Literally.
So, I mean, literally is a deal guy. And one of the people on CNBC, I can't remember who it was, but said that, the office of the president is pretty powerful. And what the president measures and maps and tracks often is impacted.
Yeah.
And Trump is going to look at Wall Street and financial markets, and he wants deals to happen. So I think it's very likely that there'll be much more friendly private equity and M&A market, which I think will be healthy. Sort of a pendulum. I think the last administration maybe took the restriction a little bit too far and will swing back. Maybe they go a little bit too far the other direction. But it's just, I think one of the good things about our country is you have the two parties and they self-correct.
Yep.
And maybe they also go a little too far, but we're about to move into the pendulum swinging towards the deal-making side.
Yeah. Brian Valencia, who's the partner at Calvin Fergetti, yesterday on the tax on the panel
GMVC,
that I did, the GMVCA panel, covering all the tax stuff. He was talking about the corporate tax rate maybe dropping from 21% to 20%. Mm-hmm. Basically capital gains unlikely. Maybe it ends up getting a little scrutiny, but probably unlikely that there's any real issues there. Potentially some issues around carried interest. So that possibly can end up being a little bit of a football that gets played with. But generally speaking, all signs point to
the SBIC thing is or am I saying that right? Whatever, the small business tax credit.
Oh yeah. Qualified small business.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So everything seems to be in place for an accelerated, deal environment.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to depend on who is the head of the FTC. But either way, I think it'll be better.
As Trump readies a reset of antitrust policy, look to these sectors for deals. So there's a focus on M&A that could happen in tech and in healthcare. Those have been areas of scrutiny previously from the FTC. So, I'm kind of confused. I hear a lot of people saying Lena Khan is going to make it because JD Vance really likes her and she's got a couple of other, and I get that part, but the track record of who she's targeted does not jive with that for me. I mean, is she just going to do about face on everything she did?
She's not going to make it.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
I think what I have, I don't know JD Vance, but I've read stuff by him. He is very critical of big tech like Google using its monopoly power to harm consumers, harm customers. So I think there still will be a lot of scrutiny on, is tech providing sufficient value to its customers as opposed to using its monopoly power to take, unfair advantage of customers.
Yeah.
The Republicans will, I think, take the view that a merger or acquisition should not be allowed if it's going to impair competition and make the customers less well off. Where I think there's a difference is the Lena Khan and the Democratic side were more interested in not allowing companies to grow too big because they might cause harm in the future. And I think the difference is going to be that might's going to be not considered anymore. Like, you either are going to cause harm to consumers right now with this transaction, or it's not really to be considered in the preventing M&A. So I think JD Vance is in favor of breaking up Google. But who he picks or who Trump picks, I do not think Lena Khan is going to make it. But I don't think it's going to be as friendly to just every transaction as maybe Wall Street expects it to be.
Well, I think Google in particular, we're not talking about all of big tech, right? I mean, I think probably
Google and Meta, the two that are being bandied around.
Well, I think Google's number one.
Yeah.
We did see recently Mark Zuckerberg sort of, posted that letter where he was saying, hey, this happened, during the last election and I was, asked to do this, that, and the third. Yeah. So he kind of was playing that side of the fence to kind of say, hey, listen, I understand if this goes down, you're going to target me and I'm going to come out and come clean on this stuff. Jeff Bezos held the Washington Post up from making any particular endorsement. And then as soon as Trump was elected, gave him a glowing sort of congratulations.
Yeah.
So I think Bezos probably has already had some communication with the Trump family and is probably protecting Amazon because the last time.
And I think Bezos wanted his prime election coverage to not be taken over by the Washington Post.
Well, I think the bigger issue is Amazon Web Services and the number of deals they do with the government, which is 30% of GDP spending. Forget his Prime special. I think he's worried about AWS and government spending. And he wants to. I think Google is in real trouble because the Trump administration is going to have them in their crosshairs. They're so mad about YouTube.
Yeah.
They're so mad about Google search results and how they feel like all that stuff is censorship. I think there's going to be a lot of scrutiny directly on that.
Yeah, there definitely is. And I don't know where it'll come out, but I think that if Google is using its monopoly-like power to disadvantage customers, that's what the FTC is supposed to be doing. Now, there's going to be a lot of testimony and debates about to what extent or how should there be remedies. I think that's probably healthy. I think it is not appropriate to just say you can't let any M&A transactions happen because that could accrue to monopoly power in the future. That means VC can't sell something for 100, 200, $300 million because there's no one to sell it to.
Yeah. I think VC has sufficiently implanted itself in the Trump administration to where anything at the FTC that continues to clog up VC deals is not going to be permitted. I just think whether we're talking about Peter Thiel or we're talking about David Sachs or we're talking about Chamath or we're talking
Vance himself, Chamath, all of them.
I mean, All In, what they did for Trump.
Yeah.
They All In was one of the first legitimizers for Trump.
Yeah.
In the podcast ecosystem.
And honestly, we are probably very biased, but I don't think any deal under $500 million is going to affect the market landscape for something.
No.
It's just not. I mean, it's important to us. It's important to the VC business to exist, but I just don't think it affects things like that.
Yeah. All right. Let's carry on. Big one. Trump selects RFK Jr. to lead HHS.
So this happened like an hour ago.
I mean, wow.
Yeah. So this will drop on Saturday. We're recording Thursday. It just occurred. HHS is a huge position, and
it's top dog.
It's got to be exactly what Robert Kennedy Jr. wanted.
It seems masterful what he's pulled off here.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking before the show. I think it's worth repeating. If he had not dropped out of the race, it's pretty clear he would have lost. I think that's why he dropped out.
Yeah, but he would have pulled real votes.
But he would have pulled votes, and it would have been much closer for Trump. I think Robert Kennedy pulled a bunch of disenfranchised Democratic voters to either not vote at all or vote for Trump. And he's getting to make the change that the entire reason he ran was to make these changes. And so, yes, masterful by him and by Trump, honestly, to be willing to be open to it. The question is, what's he going to do? How's he going to use it?
Well, HHS is the top dog. It oversees all of the public health agencies, to include NIH, CDC, FDA, CMS. I mean, it's everything. It's everything.
It seems like he's
ARPA
been
H is under. I mean, like
everything, health, food, public health related, and I have been trying to figure out what Robert Kennedy is going to focus on. Seems like he's really targeting food and the ingredients into food, and then also kind of how NIH and CDC and the scientific administrations do the work they do, and trying to pull out conflicts of interest. Those seem like okay things to focus on. But there's a lot of health policy that he could easily swing into.
Yeah. Those things would be relatively benign for the healthcare industry.
Yeah.
And I just am curious as to whether or not he does not have more serious intentions for the industry itself. I doubt those things will be focused at the delivery of care as much as they'll be focused at pharmaceuticals. I think he's very focused on what we put in our body.
Yeah.
Right. He's very focused on what we put on our body. So,
I think I'm probably largely aligned with that.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting for sure. Australia plans a social media ban for under 16s. This came from the BBC. It's about a week ago when it came through. Mm-hmm. A lot of people will say, okay, big deal. Kids will just lie about their age. It happens all the time anyway. But I do think there's something really meaningful about a nation state passing a law that basically says social media is so unsafe for children that they're banned. There's no like, hey, take a class so you understand it better, blah, blah, blah. They're banned. I mean, you're banned from it like you're banned from alcohol. You're banned from it like you're banned from smoking. It's in that class of things now. And I wonder how many more countries will follow suit.
I mean, I think I'm in favor of it. Enforcement is going to be hard, but at least it gives the parents a chance, right? Like, you can't drive a car if you're not 16.
Yeah.
And yes, a kid can go out and steal his dad's keys and start the car and drive off. But, when the parent catches them, they get to say, well, that's not allowed.
It's illegal.
It's illegal. You can't do that. And it just gives the parent more ground to try to help their kid not dive into social media when they're 12, 14,
right,
15.
Right. I mean, the parent, the school,
Yeah.
I think it's everyone who surrounds the child, right?
Yeah.
Because the parent's only with the child some of the day.
Right.
And is also not the only authority figure, right? So it's all the other, the coach on the team or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it adds credibility. And I think it is damaging to children.
Yeah.
I think it's damaging to adults
Yes.
too, but it's definitely damaging to children.
Congress eyes site-neutral pay bills for lame duck session. This is from Modern Healthcare, always sort of covering how the payments are going to flow out of D.C. And this is, I think, something that a lot of people who are advocating for a more competitive healthcare ecosystem, this is kind of what they want. More price transparency, more consumer options, and less favorable payment models for hospitals over ambulatory care.
Yeah. I mean, right now, the same services are reimbursed significantly higher in inpatient facilities, even if the service is not an overnight stay inpatient service. You come for an outpatient procedure and the health system gets reimbursed more. And that is justified by the amount of overhead that we as a society have asked the health system to build. And I understand that argument. We have a lot of friends here in town that are health system executives. And I also understand the other side, which is, okay, that might be important in the burn unit or when you have a life flight coming in for trauma. But how does that relate to me getting this procedure done when I can go to an ambulatory center? It's the same exact thing. You might argue it's sometimes it's closer and easier, and yet they're paid less. And so there's a fairness argument that I think is challenging on both sides. The health systems are required to offer all of these services,
right?
And yet they don't make enough money from the trauma and burn and ED. And so really the solution is probably we should reimburse those services more to be able to pay for the overhead they need.
Right.
And then reimburse the same
equally for the other stuff.
For the other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're making a great point. In the world of hospitals, there is so much robbing Peter to pay Paul. I'm over.
It's like cross-subsidizing.
Yeah,
things.
yeah, it's so much, and it's just like, how about pay them for some of the really hard work that they do, and then make the rest of it an even playing field for everybody.
Yes.
Instead of making these sets of services sort of captured in what may not even be the right side of care for it, right?
Yeah. And I think it made sense when it occurred because, I don't know, they were the only place doing these services.
Yeah, it's a very different world
but now. We've changed, and it's much more transparent. So I'm not sure what will happen in the lame duck session, but I think our health system friends that are listening need to start getting ready. I mean, there's going to be a lot of pressure on this site of service reimbursement being the same.
Republicans choose John Thune as the new Senate leader for second Trump era. So that little saga, at least for now, dies down. There was a lot of talk around this secret vote that was going to happen, and whether they're talking about it being between John Cornyn, Rick Scott, and John Thune. But I think really everyone was eyeing Rick Scott because that was Trump's pick, and that was who he wanted, and he had been, leveraging social media to try to create pressure around that to happen, but it did not happen.
Yeah, and I think it's healthy for the Senate to have its own leadership that is not beholden to the president. And so I know there's a lot of Republicans that wanted to see, sort of Rick Scott and just anything can get through the Senate. But I think it's probably good that there's some checks and balances. I mean, they're all Republicans, but they're going to have to talk to each other. And John Thune is really Mitch McConnell. He was Mitch McConnell's second lieutenant for a long time. So it's really an extension of the existing power dynamic in the Senate, which I think is probably okay. I mean, Trump has plenty of power.
Yep.
And the Senate, which are Republicans, they'll share a lot of common interests.
Oh, yeah. But they're not all MAGA.
But
they're not all MAGA. They're
right.
not all pledge allegiance to Trump. I mean,
which will be good. I think that's a good thing. I mean, it will make it more difficult. It'll make it maybe slower, but that's probably okay.
The Republicans have clinched the House. So I think yesterday it was like there were 2 seats away, and now they
won a couple seats yesterday. Then, a couple of Trump's nominees for other cabinet positions are in the House.
Yeah.
And so they're going to have to run elections there.
Special elections, yeah.
They're going to have a very small, they'll have a small majority in the House.
Yeah.
But they'll control the committees. They'll control the docket. It makes a big difference to have one extra seat versus.
Yeah. Now they spent this last term, this last 2 years where they controlled the House, figuring out how they were all going to get along. Because again, it's really kind of not one Republican Party, right? I mean,
yes.
When you talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene and some of these folks, it's just
and the Dems the same way. They're all, because we only have a 2-party system.
Yeah.
Each of them are like this.
It's a spectrum.
I don't know.
It's a spectrum.
Yeah. Right.
Right. So, but I will say I do feel like they worked through a lot of it. Mike Johnson has at least been a steady hand, for back half of this year. And Trump is backing him, which I think will actually keep the loudest voices in House under control. So I would anticipate actually a much more orderly House for the next 2 years, and probably one that's very productive, advancing what Donald Trump wants.
Yeah, I mean, I think we will know by end of March, because they need to extend Trump's tax cuts that expire. So in 2017,
I anticipate that happening.
That'll happen, but if you're going to use budget reconciliation, you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to find revenues or savings somewhere else. So that, I think that'll be the first signal of we are
aligned, and
they know, they have a common idea of how they're going to structure it, or they're all fighting over how to get it through reconciliation.
Yeah. Well, the MAGA House reps were the activists last time.
Right.
Now Trump is in the White House. So that, to me, that just feels like that should align them better, right? Like Trump will tell the House, this is what I want you to do. The MAGA House reps will say, you heard what he said. Mike Johnson's going to say, you heard what he said.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's going to do it. I mean, less so in the Senate. In the Senate. But in the House, I feel like Trump is going to have pretty good controls.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have, if he can get a handle on the deficit, this is where the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE thing is going to be interesting. If they can actually cut spending, everything gets easier.
Yeah.
But if they can't, then you have a bunch of deficit hawks that will be concerned about things.
Well, I anticipate that they will, in fact, cut spending. Let's shift over to payers. UnitedHealth and Amedisys, they were picked on by the DOJ this week, investigating their deal. I mean, I don't know. This feels very lame duck to me.
This is
this DOJ,
a ridiculous unforced error. Like, why would the DOJ bother? They're not going to be in the seat. You're not going to be in the seat to prosecute it.
Silly.
And so, obviously, United and Amedisys are going to fight it.
Yeah, of course.
And then there's going to be a new head of the DOJ who's going to, I think, probably going to drop it. So the whole thing is ridiculous.
Yeah, seems pretty silly to me. All right, major payers saw mixed results in Q3. How did they fare? Basically, United made enough profit for all of them times 3. Basically,
yeah,
it's crazy.
It's incredible. I mean, if people are watching, there's a chart up here talking about the quarterly profit, and that's right. UnitedHealth had $6 billion in quarterly profit. And when you add up everybody else, it's 3.5.
Yeah.
But that's Humana, Elevance, CVS, Cigna, Centene. These are big companies.
I know.
And United is just lapping the field.
Now, I think the craziest thing here to me is UnitedHealth Group versus CVS.
Yeah.
Because they are two similarly positioned companies in terms of their stature on the stock market, right?
And their revenue.
The market cap, the top line revenue, those kinds of things.
Yeah, about roughly $100 billion in quarterly revenue.
Yeah. And I mean, CVS is the worst performing of this batch.
Yeah. And the change from last year, CVS made
awful,
little over $2.5 billion in 2023 in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And they barely were profitable this quarter. Barely.
Profitable. I mean,
now, as we talked about last time, the new CEO, I think, threw every cost and everything he could get into the kitchen sink because he's not getting painted with this thing. But still, it's a dramatic fall from grace. Right.
And
then the MLR, just quickly, again, like UnitedHealth was right at 85.
Yep.
And Cigna, who does, as we've talked about before, it's mostly employers, was at 82. So they were really good.
Everybody was up year over year on MLR. That's important to sort of say.
Every payer was
everybody was up, and pretty much everybody was up between 2 to 3 points.
Yeah.
CVS was up 10 points.
Right.
It's just like, of course, there's implosion going on over there. Like the math is not mathing.
That's right.
That does not work. All right. Onward. Oracle and Meharry Medical College collaborate on Innovation Hub Wellness Center in Nashville.
Yeah.
So this is good news. I actually heard about this. My buddy Ritesh Patel, who works at Finn Partners, in their digital health, his background, he worked at Ogilvy Health, so he's done a lot of like really strategic stuff, partnering with the healthcare industry. He tipped me off to this. He was like, "Hey, just want you to know this is going down." Sent it to me last week. It's great. It's great news, right? I mean, immediately Oracle making an impact, coming into town, picking an important institution to partner with, bring more innovation. Meharry has had a heck of a year. We could look at the Bloomberg philanthropy contribution to their endowment, basically doubling it, adding over 120. Adding $120 million to their endowment. So I think they're like 250 or something like that now. And now this Oracle, I mean, they're having a banner year in terms of like really being able to bring in big partnerships.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be great for Meharry, great for Nashville, and I think it'll be great for Oracle.
Yeah. So good news. Look forward to seeing what they work on together. Kaiser Permanente looks to slash costs as industry headwinds bring $608 million operating loss in Q3. Not expected.
Yeah, so they weren't in the payer review because they're sort of a payvider and they're not profit.
Yeah, mostly thought of as a provider. I mean, with an internal,
I was really surprised that they went to a $600 million loss in third quarter. And then the next story, they have made some cuts to try to correct that. I think Kaiser's going to be fine, but having that big of a loss is really surprising.
Yeah, I would love to sort of know what happened. Here, because actually they're saying that the Geisinger acquisition actually
it contributed positively.
It added $13 million as a gain. So there's something fundamentally went wrong over the last couple of quarters here, and it would be worth understanding better. I wonder whether or not some of the Medicare Advantage stuff kind of came home to roost with them as well.
Yeah, they're thought of as a provider, but I think they
the
are having
part
the
of the
same
business.
effects as the payer side that we saw.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. Amazon One Medical rolls out telehealth treatment services in competition with Ro, Hims, and Hers.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit surprised it took Amazon so long, honestly, but seems like something they can easily move into and disrupt that space.
Agree.
Hair loss, ED. These are pretty straightforward things that you'd prefer to do online in telehealth. That really is what Ro and Hims did really well.
Yeah. And
I just think they are going to struggle in the next couple of years. They don't have a lot of barriers to entry. People are, they're compounding GLP-1, which is making a lot of money right now, but I don't know how long lasting that's going to be.
Right.
So I don't know. I think it's not surprising, and I think Amazon's going to do well with it.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think Amazon just has so much trust at this point.
Yeah.
They've done such a great job with all of our consumer data and, never being that brand that's let us down. And One Medical is a really good brand on its own.
Yeah.
Prior to Amazon owning it, One Medical had fantastic reviews. Everyone sort of loved One Medical. So it's a marriage of two great brands, very, very strong technology company. I expect the telehealth services to be highly competitive, likely to be as good, if not better, from a user experience to what Ro and Hims and Hers are delivering. So
Amazon and Walmart and everyone tried to do kind of general primary care.
Yeah.
And that's pretty hard.
That's hard.
But this niche primary care where I have this one thing I need, I'm losing my hair, I'm going bald, and I need help.
Right.
They can solve that, and I think get a good gross margin and net profit there.
Yeah. Cardinal Health inks 2 deals worth $3.9 billion to expand diabetes and GI businesses. So yes, Cardinal Health is moving into building out specialty networks. Makes a lot of sense that, it's not sort of the pay-vider model, but there's a new integrated vertical model for manufacturing companies, right? Mm-hmm. To say, hey, we create all these things, we ship them out. Why don't we kind of control who we ship them out to?
Right.
Let's create a captive audience there.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It is similar to the pay-vider where they're expanding from distribution, which is low margin, huge volume, and they do a great job at that.
Sure.
But it's pretty competitive.
Very competitive.
So now they're moving into much more specialized things, higher margin, and much more sticky. It's hard to switch off that.
Yeah. I think it's really smart. And also when you're moving into, some of these specialty spaces, you're not directly kind of competing with your big customers on the health system side as well. Yeah. So you're not angering people when you go into GI, for example, right?
That's right.
That's kind of fair space. So now it will be interesting for a lot of these independent physician groups that, specialty groups, bringing the Cardinal Health balance sheet behind what they're doing. It could be kind of a transformation for Cardinal Health, quite frankly, where they really start to become much more known for the delivery of care from a nationwide perspective.
Yeah, I think it's going to be challenging in the gastro and diabetes provider space, because if you're not with a big firm, you need to get with one quickly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. A little bit old, but Novo Nordisk had a great quarter with their Wegovy drug sales. Mm-hmm. They beat expectations year over year, 79%, gross up. So just, Wegovy.
Yeah, all the GLP-1 derivatives continue to just crush the popularity, the demand, the sales. I don't know that they're going to be able to hold pricing, and it seems like there's a lot of competitive products coming into the market, but they're very popular and they are having success. People are losing weight. They're having derivative benefits too, like not drinking as much, not doing other things.
Let me tell you something that I know. I know that in the diabetes space, they are now looking at not just looking at, they're doing this. They're starting to recommend subscribing GLP-1s in place of insulin.
Really?
Yes.
Will you taper off insulin, or they just don't give you insulin?
They're replacing it.
Wow.
I'm not going to tell you how I know that, but I know that.
But
it's a real world case.
Yeah. So you know of a patient or a few patients
I know of a patient where that is being recommended.
And their blood sugar is stable and okay?
Stable.
Yeah.
I think what has happened is that this person has been progressing well. And so it's like, well, instead of insulin every day, let's do this once a week.
Yeah. I mean, that seems like a huge win for all around.
I mean, I think patients, I think diabetic patients are going to really love that. But, what happens if GLP-1s start eating into insulin? Now insulin prices already become sort of much more generic, but it's just something to think about. Like GLP-1s are just eating so much. It's kind of like software eats the world. Like GLP-1s are eating the world, man.
That's right.
It's crazy. China has detained a senior AstraZeneca executive. This is a story where basically this China chief for AstraZeneca, Leon Wang, was in Hong Kong, and the Chinese government suspected that perhaps he was leading AstraZeneca in illegally importing certain drugs from Hong Kong into China, maybe improperly collecting patient data. And so he's being detained. And the language from AstraZeneca is very like to the point. It's just like, this is what's happening. There's no opinion on it.
Right.
There's no, we rebuke the Chinese government for doing this. It's very like, matter of fact, this is exactly what happened.
Yeah. To me, it's pretty scary. These drugs are approved for use in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is very close to mainland China, and there's lots of people going back and forth. Of course, some people, whether it's approved by the company or not, there definitely is going to be some migration of the drug across over to mainland China. Or someone has, I think it's an oncology drug. Yeah, breast cancer drug.
Mm-hmm.
Someone has breast cancer and they want the drug. I mean, they'll go to a lot of lengths to go over to Hong Kong and try to get it. I think it's difficult to hold Leon Wang responsible, but we don't know any of the facts. But
no, I mean, look, to me, it's just a watch this space kind of story, right? I mean, we have no details on this, but I think China is going to be getting more aggressive in a variety of different ways in the days, weeks, months to come, because they're under a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
they're
and it's
under
going to
a
get
lot
worse
of pressure.
and worse with tariffs.
Oh my gosh, forget about it.
I mean, I cannot think of a company or an executive that would want to go start a business in China now. I mean,
oh no.
So I mean, it's just not going to. I mean, stories like this are not going to encourage foreign investment. No one's going to go over there.
Yeah. Open Notes partners with Abridge to study how AI-generated notes can benefit patients. Into our AI rundown. Abridge kind of consistently showing up in the AI rundown. Yeah. I think they are cementing themselves from a share of mind as a real player here to stay, and that's constantly doing partnerships.
Yeah, and partnerships to get credibility.
Yes.
And earn it.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know Open Notes well, but I don't think they will just give a free pass. I think they're actually going to look at it.
Yeah. So Open Notes is a health transparency research group, part of Beth Israel in Boston. And look, I think we're going to need a lot of studies on AI because the jury is out on many a thing, what the long-term impact of this is going to be. And so I feel like we're starting to see a strategy around AI companies proactively partnering with groups to do studies, to create research, to get objective third parties, around the table, and also to make sure they are being appropriately positioned as good actors. Right. Hey, we want sunshine on this topic. We want someone besides us sort of analyzing what we're doing and coming up with analysis of whether or not it's good or not. Next, the next guest show we have is going to be along these lines.
Yeah. Right. And we'll dig into that model. I think we need several bodies really looking into this. I mean, the thing about healthcare is even with humans, people die in healthcare. So like, there's going to be times when the patient doesn't do that well. We know that. And so finding a way to do research and make sure that we're delivering the best care we can in a combination of AI and humans, I think is something we have to figure out.
Absolutely. Mass General,
similar
Emory test AI models from Amazon and OpenAI. So more testing.
Yeah. All of a sudden, the Boston area is doing a lot of testing and analysis on AI models.
Yeah. So working with OpenAI, again, OpenAI is demonstrating that they are serious about healthcare and partnering with, real big brands in the healthcare space, but also Amazon showing up here. And this is maybe the first time we've had a story where Amazon's name was included when it was talking about assessing models.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting, pairing it with the story about Amazon and One Medical. But also we know that Amazon's sort of big investment in the space has really been in Anthropic and Claude, which is easily, by many people's account, the best model in the market today.
Yeah. And so I was surprised that Amazon was participating for exactly that reason. I haven't seen them out front using the Amazon brand as like a leading LLM model. they have lots of tools in their systems, in their cloud systems. So either they're sort of partnering with Anthropic and there was some reason to put Amazon forward here, or they're trying to create a retail-facing brand, although I haven't seen it anywhere else yet.
So something to watch. Are we going to see more of Amazon being the lead brand when it comes to AI models in healthcare?
Right.
As opposed to Anthropic and Claude? That may be a strategic decision, right? To use the Amazon brand because of the power of Amazon in the cloud world with AWS and things of that nature, right? Behavioral health provider Rogers to deploy AI chatbot from Limbic to speed up patient intake. So we're seeing more and more of the chatbots in the behavioral health space. Rogers is a big behavioral health player. Limbic is an actual LLM-based chatbot, so not like Wobot, as far as we know. I don't know if Wobot has gotten off of just being pure sort of machine learning and predetermined outcomes and has moved to stochastic LLMs. But more chatbots in behavioral health. Yeah,
that's right. And it looks like it came out of the UK. I didn't really know Limbic before this story. There's been a lot of study in the UK about it, but it is, it's a competitor to Wobot, and we'll see. The reason it makes sense in behavioral health is there's a lot of talk therapy, a lot of very commonly accepted techniques like cognitive behavioral therapy. So it would be amenable to a chat interaction, but it also, it can hallucinate. So, and I don't mean hallucinate like it's going crazy, but it could just say things that aren't exactly on topic. And so we need to see, but I think we are going full speed ahead into using generative AI for clinical care with patients. And there's going to be studies like the last two we just talked about, but there are also people just using it in the wild.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Presbyterian Healthcare Services taps RhythmX AI to roll out Gen AI co-pilots for primary care. So this feels like exactly what TK was telling us was going to happen.
Yeah, it makes me a little nervous, but it also just is. It's just the way it's going to be.
I mean, we just got to.
Just going to happen.
It's here. We literally have been talking about it every week for over a year now. Nothing about this is surprising us.
Yeah, it's not surprising.
Yeah,
and I'm also not sure.
But I guess I would say the reason why it's happening. We understand why it's happening because it has to happen. Yeah, it's necessary.
And they're going to places where there's a shortage of clinicians.
Yeah,
behavioral health and primary care. There are not enough humans to treat the patients we have.
No, and the incentives are not set up in a way where we're going to have some major change in that trend.
Yes.
Not fast enough.
We're
not going to have a change in that trend fast enough. So we're going to have to move to AI.
Yeah.
That's just, everyone's going to have to get used to it.
Yeah, I think that's right.
All right, final story. OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic are struggling to build more advanced AI. I feel like I hear stories on both sides of the spectrum of this argument every week. So I don't know what to believe. Sam Altman was saying we might get AGI next year. And then this story is saying a bunch of people are like, the scaling is not working as they hoped. They're not, and to me, I kind of feel like it's just the expectations have been set so high, right? I mean, the advancements that they have made in the last 2 years have just been tremendous, but they have spent a lot of money getting there. And now it's almost like people are saying, if you don't get to AGI, it ain't good enough. I feel like they're looking at the amount of money invested, the revenue being generated, the proliferation of these tools versus the actual adoption of these tools, right? They're in every piece of software we have.
Right.
How many people are actually using them, right? So they've been fully distributed.
Right.
And so now it's just a question of what's gonna happen here, right? And we're looking to build more advanced AI. We want the AI that comes that immediately just like takes over and runs a company. Anything short of that seems to not be acceptable.
Yeah. Well, when you spend hundreds of billions of dollars, you have to create a big market to grab. I I sort of come down the fact that I think it's going to be slow. I think the tooling around the existing systems and actually using these things and building interfaces and ways to get it into SaaS tools or into applications that can actually be useful, which is not writing a poem or giving me 30 subject lines for an email. I mean, that's what it does now. And it's really good at that. But it's difficult to get that into a business setting where I can really use it. I've worked on it a lot, and I have some use cases. But that's, I think, the frontier models are not that interesting to me. Like spending multiple billions of dollars to get another turn on reliability or complexity. They're good now. Llama's good now. They are plenty good. It's much more the tooling and the infrastructure and the interfaces and making it usable that I think is more interesting.
I think 2025 is definitely going to be the year of software companies figuring out the right places to inject AI in their existing workflows to meaningfully make the user's experience more productive and more joyful. That's one thing.
Yeah.
Two, agents have got to become real. Like and at a minimum, we got to see him show up for like executive assistants. Like everyone should be able to have an executive assistant. Okay. Like if we can't get there, how do you think we're going to get to the next thing?
Right.
Book my restaurants, book my flights, book my hotel, the basics. Like we got to get baseline agent execution. If we can't get those two things done, it's going to be a hard year for valuations on the AI side, I think.
Yeah. There's no question. I mean, the amount of money and hype and energy being put into the next OpenAI, the next Gemini, the next Claude, when I don't know that really would make that much of a difference. I mean, say it's 10 times faster, better. It still isn't interfaced into places where I can use it. So, I think this story is probably right that the next versions are not getting the same like leap in performance that they got from GPT 3 to 4.
Yeah.
But I don't know that's the real challenge. The challenge is there's not a product or like a business model or just the chat interface not connected to anything.
Yeah.
Is not not enough.
I've long felt that the interface was far from ideal.
Yeah.
Like it's a great interface to experience what LLMs can do.
Yeah, to test it for the first time.
Right. But from a working perspective, it's not what I want to be using.
It's got to be either in email or Slack or Teams or hitting APIs where I don't even have to mess with it.
I actually can't believe AI is still not embedded in Slack in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
That to me is the most mind-boggling thing. I'm like, I'm in this thing every single day, and it still doesn't have any form of AI that or no one has made an AI plugin that makes sense for Slack. I'm like, why?
Yeah. I mean, I have one, but you have to be a developer. I mean, it is hard.
Yeah.
It's not easy to do. We need a no code, just turn it on and it works.
Yeah.
And the one I have is not that.
Yeah.
And so I spent a weekend trying to get it to interact with Slack. And it does, but it breaks all that. I mean, it's my code is not super tight. And so it doesn't, if I don't put in the exact right thing into Slack, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's just not reliable.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Good rundown. Anything we left out?
No, I don't think so. Excited. There's going to be a lot of political changes in the next couple of weeks.
Oh man. Look, the RFK one that's for us. I think right now that's the big one just because he's a little bit unpredictable.
Yeah. Be really interesting to see. I mean, by the time people are listening to this, I think he will have said something.
Yeah.
And so what is he going to talk about as his key things he's focused on?
Right.
I think it's going to be outside of detailed CMS policy that we would care about.
Right.
More like ingredients for food or
Look,
scientific research.
And those are things that the general public will really resonate with.
Yeah, they understand. I mean, it's easy to have a soundbite. Everyone understands it.
Yeah.
He showed something I saw that, like, this is what the McDonald's fries have in London. This is what they have in New York City. And
no one's going to cry for McDonald's
having to change their ingredients.
That's right. No one's going to cry for McDonald's needing to make their ingredients more healthy for Americans.
Yeah.
That's an easy one.
And it's not that the fries in London taste that much worse.
No.
They just are a little bit harder. Maybe they don't last as long.
Yeah.
You have to throw them out after a while.
I mean, I tell you what's going to be really interesting. These things, especially around big food, right, have just been, I mean, you know, we've had documentaries made about it and everything like that. But if RFK can actually like undo some of that stuff, it really is going to call into question what have the leaders for the last 30 years, especially maybe the last 20 years, what have they been doing? Allowing big.
I mean, Supersize Me was 20 years ago.
So I mean, it's going to be a real question, right? Like, okay, if in fact this guy is able to come in and in a relatively short period of time make meaningful changes to what's in our food, and he doesn't run into all these crazy walls, like if he's able to get it done, it really is going to call into question what has been the holdup on this.
I mean, I think what has been the holdup is conflicts of interest.
That will be damning. I think that is going to very much change how we look back at the leadership we've had over the last 20 years. It's just, you know, it's clearly one of the two big things that have been allowed to, you may say three, but I'm going to stick with two. The two big things that have been allowed to touch all of us have been the food supply and social media. These are kind of the two things that they're in all of our houses, in all of our hands.
Yeah.
In all of our bodies, you know, at this point. Social media is in your mind, it's in your brain, right?
Yeah.
And if
and who are they benefiting?
This is what I'm saying. Only the companies.
Right.
Only the companies. Right. They do not benefit the general public in any meaningful way. Yeah. So kind of a big deal if this administration is able to take on those two big forces and actually do something about it.
Yeah. I mean, I read a book called Fiat Food, which is a crypto guy that wrote it, but it was the history of food for like the last 200 years and incredibly well researched. I mean, like whole proof of work. He has maybe 500, 600 endnotes. And it's really damning all of the food legacy, just not great things that were completely conflicts of interest. Now, I'm not an expert at food. I read it because it came out of the crypto world. But if 10% of it's true, it's terrible. So it'll be really interesting. I think before the next show, Robert Kennedy Jr. will have given a couple press conferences and talked a little bit. Hopefully he will focus on food ingredients and getting it to be healthy food.
Yeah. Also, like regenerative farming, he's bringing to the table, which is a big thing. Our soil health is a big issue.
Yes. Yeah, and we throw tons of fertilizer on it, and
we overfarm it.
We don't need all the current corn syrup that we make.
Yeah.
And the only reason we make it is because we pay the farmers to make corn. So there's a lot of pieces that are, I think you'd have 80%, 85% support in. I mean, my Fruit Loops don't need to be such bright green and red.
Right.
If it's going to be healthier, they'll still be
tasty,
plenty sweet. Yeah, they just won't look good. So bright.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there's plenty of things that would have huge support, and hopefully he'll stay out of like detailed reimbursement stuff, at least for a little while.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah. Agree. All right, man. See you next week.
Yeah.